Hello, this is Amanda Kelly with This Art Called Life. I am coming on quite a bit later than I normally would today, just because it's been that kind of a day. But I also believe that nothing is an accident, and it is 9 p.m., it is dark, and there's actually a beautiful little correlation that goes along with the topic today. So today I'm going to dive into this idea of the big shift, and what that means, in my opinion, is this rise of the divine feminine is one huge aspect of it anyway. There's a lot of layers of what's happening right now, the shifts that are going on, the changes, the transformations, but this idea of the rise of the feminine, the rise of the divine feminine is a really, really prevalent, really important part of it, in my opinion. So yesterday I dove into a little bit about the patriarchy, and again, in short snippet videos, we could write massive books, even series of books on these things. So, just bear that in mind. I'm not going to get into all the nuances, but just to understand how it all connects. So, the patriarchy is this idea of like male controlled and dominated society. And here we are watching the shift happen, and we're shifting into a new paradigm, where things are going to be a little bit more balanced, or hopefully a lot more balanced. And the rise of the divine feminine doesn't mean that, the men are irrelevant anyway. This is the huge difference between a lot of the feminist movement, unfortunately, sidelined a lot of people by saying we don't need men, and all of that kind of stuff. And not everybody's like that, of course. And women denying their own femininity to be like men kind of seemed a little everybody can do whatever they want, but it almost seemed like things were being co-opted in weird ways that didn't quite align with the idea of a female in her feminine power, or anybody really in their feminine power. So what the distinction is here is the divine feminine is actually an energy that exists within everybody. Everybody has the masculine and the feminine. Everybody, men and women, have both the masculine and feminine elements and energies within. And obviously, people embody the energies in different ways, but part of the work that we do is, as we are awakening and ascending and growing spiritually, and just personal growth, and positive thinking and all of that, if you want to just ground it in psychological terms, and personal growth and self-development, those fields, everything is parallel, or overlaps even. Anyway, a lot of it is this idea of healing back into wholeness has been the way that I've been viewing it anyway. That's my phrase. But coming back into integration, and what is being integrated, a huge part of what's being integrated are these differing energies, and bringing them back into balance. So the rise of the divine feminine isn't to overtake or surpass the masculine, it's to bring them back into a whole, integrated, beautiful balance, so that they can both, nurture each other, so that each one can be fully expressed. And that can happen within a partnership, but it can also happen, and actually even for that partnership to really fully manifest in its fullest expression as a partnership, it's actually ideal for the individuals within the partnership to come back into this integrated sense of wholeness, maybe not before, but in and unto themselves. Everybody can be evolving together. It's not like you can't be with somebody and growing together, by all means, but so much of this work is meant to be done within, vast majority. Of course, people can help us on our paths, and many people come into our lives in order to do that. So whether we're talking about within the context of a relationship or in the context of, you know, being single and doing the work on your own, whether that's by choice or not by choice, they're both beautiful. They're both very, very beautiful, and everybody's on their particular paths. So this isn't so much about, this isn't male and female, this is masculine and feminine. So there is a distinction there. So we want to be clear about that as well. So the feminine principle is about, it's more of the cyclical sense of being connected with the cycles, being connected with nature, being in the flow with life. And instead of, linear, masculine principles tend to be very linear. Women, female principles, rather, tend to be more cyclical in nature, because look at even just the cycles, the rhythms of nature. Every year we have the 4 seasons, and every year it's the same 4 seasons. But each year we have different manifestations of the seasons. And so yes, we're growing, and the trees grow bigger and the flowers bloom brighter every year. So it's the same idea, is that when we're in sync fully with nature, with the rhythms that are around us, the rhythms that are within us, then we're fully in our power. And this idea of being in your power it's not about, being in the light either. It's not just, I think one thing that we have to embrace is that the rise of the feminine is about embracing the dark. It's about embracing the shadows as well. And that's why when I was like, oh my gosh, time is slipping away, it's gonna be too late before I get to do this video today, I was like, actually no, it's kind of a beautiful reminder for me that the most beautiful creations of life itself, emerges from the dark. The womb space, the void, all life starts from the dark. So if we really start to gain some more perspective and reframe all of the darkness in our lives, and the dark night of the soul processes that so many of us go through, we can start to see the beauty within the darkness, because the beauty is the possibility for growth and transformation and creation. This is where the seeds are planted. Before the seed can bloom, before it can emerge, it has to germinate in the dark. It has to basically just come into being before it can fully emerge and grow and bloom and expand. So everything starts from the dark. The void of creation is what a lot of highly conscious spiritual people talk about, the void. So it's the same idea, the void in the womb space, life begins there. If we look at the soil, life begins there. So this is very, very much about honoring and embracing the dark, and honoring and embracing the cycles, and really being true to ourselves, tuning in, tapping into our intuition, and staying grounded within that self. And it's very much about being grounded to the earth. The masculine is the sun, the feminine is the earth as well. So it is, when we're trying to integrate, ascend, we actually have to go anchor into the earth as well as to the sun, and then go within. We have to merge them within. So it's like the merging of, there's a lot of different analogies here. There's the sun and the moon and all of that. The moon is the feminine in the dark. So yes, there's so many analogies that we could look at, but it's about embracing the shadows, and whatever darkness lies within. It's nothing that we can't handle, and it's where the beauty emerges from, because once we do start to embrace them and integrate them and heal them, that's what helps us step fully into our power. So this is about reclaiming our power fully and completely. And, it's coming back into wholeness and tapping back into our intuition. And that's where the magic and the power come from. And, we are healers, we are creators. And this isn't just about women, this is also the feminine aspects within men as well. We are all everything. And we're just having particular manifestations within this current lifetime. So that's something fun to play with. But yes, we all have these energies within, and we are all far more capable than we have been led to believe we are. Again, getting back into the patriarchy, which was very much, set up by the church, the patriarchy, and particularly Christianity. And this is not to bash Christianity. I was raised Christian, and this is nothing to do with all the amazing, beautiful souls who identify as Christian. This is about the power structures from above. Anyway, so they've been using fear as a control and oppression mechanism to keep people out of their power. So I'm not going to dive in as like I did yesterday, but just to kind of give a little fuller picture perspective right now, we're basically expected to be obedient and compliant. And when we're in the space of fear and obedience and compliance, we are not really able to take responsibility for our lives because we are not in our power. I created a video about that the other day, about taking responsibility for ourselves, because it's a very empowering place to be operating from. When you take responsibility for your thoughts, your actions, and all of that, you are operating from within rather than reacting and responding to things that are happening to you from without. So it's actually very empowering. And we've been led to believe that this is a really, really, it's too hard, or it's, we are the victims. So it's just, life is working against us and it's never going to work out for us. There's a lot of different narratives that, we've been hearing filtered in from different areas that we take in from our parents, from movies, from shows, from society, from, our just immediate surroundings and community that are keeping us small, that are keeping us down. And that's kind of by design, not just kind of, very much so. So along with that, in particular, the patriarchy really needed to demonize women, because women who were in their power were, completely sovereign beings. They were healers, they were, priestesses. Honestly, this shift did start 5,000 years ago, so it does predate Christianity. It's not just because of that, but definitely it's been ramped up in the last couple thousand years. So just, a little place of perspective there as well. So we basically have to remember who we are as the powerful creator beings, the powerful healers that we really are, the magical manifestors that we are, the queens and the goddesses and the priestesses. So I've been diving into all of this, and it's really beautiful. So, hey, thank you for joining. Women used to be, so high priestesses in particular, used to be the conduits which conferred sovereign power to the kings from the divine through the act of sacred divine sex. So that was a really, really interesting thing for me to learn. Yes, it's a beautiful idea, but it's also extremely powerful. Women are the connection, and we confer the power to the men. So it's just astonishing to think about from all of these different layers and perspectives how much we've been removed from our power, how much that power has been removed from us in many ways. So now is the time to reclaim our power. Now is the time to unleash our fullest expressions of ourselves, to unleash our voice, to be unstoppable entities, and to go after what we want, to manifest what we want, to create what we want, what we envision, and to do it from a heart-centered space, of course, because from a heart-centered space, it is for the good of all. And this is the other thing, you know, women who were in their power, who were healers, you know, they were basically working for love and service. And it's not just women, but people connected to the feminine aspect, the divine feminine, working for the goals of love and service rather than ego and money and power, you know, which abundance is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. But when we have co-opted things in service of other things that are not particularly aligned with love and the good of all, then it's, you know, money is a tool. Abundance is, I suppose, a different energy. But yeah, and we've been led to believe that the body itself is not sacred, and the body is sacred. The feminine principle is this idea of the body is divine. The body is a sacred vessel, and the whole Virgin Mary idea basically removes sexuality from Mary, and it makes sexuality seem to be a bad thing. Mary Magdalene was depicted as a prostitute. She was far from that. She was also an ascended master on the level of Jesus. And, you know, so if we start to put all these pieces together, it's quite humbling to realize how powerful we really are and to realize that we have so much beautiful potential within. So another huge piece of the divine feminine is this ability to surrender. So it seems like the opposite of power, but it's not at all. Surrender it's actually a very, very powerful ability. Surrender can happen in many different circumstances, but you know, surrender to the universe, surrender to the circumstance, surrender even to the man if you are in a male-female relationship, and that might seem counterintuitive to a woman in her power. Surrendering to a man, how could that be a woman in her power? But it's this idea of trust, and a woman who is in her power has the ability to let go and just trust and surrender herself to the process, to the being that she is with, to the whole universe, really. So it is a huge component of this divine feminine principle, is this idea of surrender. And it's just like, from a practical standpoint, surrendering to the process, to get back to that piece, you know, not grasping and pushing. That's a very like masculine way of doing things, is like manifesting through grasping and pushing and forcing. It's this idea of, I am putting the intention out there firmly, I'm taking the aligned action, but I'm also going to step back and allow the universe to deliver in the correct divine timing and in the correct divine way. So it is not, you know, it's total opposite way that many people have been moving through life in the current / recent paradigm that we're shifting out of, is this kind of forcing way of making things happen. And then that's not as much in alignment. So rebalancing into the feminine is allowing things to unfold in the divine right timing. And it's from this place of surrender that is allowed to happen. So it's really beautiful. And, you know, to just bring it back to what I was saying before, you know, when we think about what has happened throughout history, like the witch hunts I think I got into yesterday, that like the patriarchy had to keep women out of their power in order to control the population. So there, and then, you know, going back predating Christianity, though the goddess entities that people worshipped, like Isis and Ishtar and Diana, they were also called virgins. I want to bring this little piece in because I find it quite fascinating. They were also called virgin, but the word virgin had a very different meaning at that point. Oh, shoot, my camera almost died, or my phone rather. A woman who was free, and like she was one with herself, basically. I wrote that definition down just so I didn't forget exactly, because it's a totally different definition from what we have learned. It's the root word of virgin meant like strength and skill and force. Although force, we have to be nuanced with that one. I would have to dive into that one a little bit more. But it's really interesting to learn that this one word has been completely co-opted and from, more or less flipped completely around. Remember, we live in the inverted matrix. So I guess, yeah, it makes sense from the inverted matrix perspective. So anyway, yeah, crazy world we live in, right? So, now is the time to embody the goddess, to embody the queen within, and to embody the high priestess, the witch even, because witches were healers, witches were creators. They were not, there is such thing as dark magic and light magic, to be sure, but everybody's a magician. So all these words and these practices have been co-opted / demonized to take women out of their power, to keep all people out of their power, and to keep us in this separation, but it's a separation from within as much as from without. So it's the separation of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, rather than having us be integrated whole beings. If we are separated, we are not in our power. And this is all about coming back into our power by reintegrating and coming back into a space of wholeness. So again, this is about being in the flow. It's about surrendering to the process. It is about moving with the cycles of nature. It's about honoring your intuition and trusting your own judgment and honoring the need to rest and to take a step back and to let go of preconceived ideas and to let go of this force and this push and this go mentality. It's to really release all of that and to go with the flow and to surrender. So, to move in these cyclical ways and remember who we really are at our core, and that is a divine, powerful woman. So I'm going to end this with a very interesting quotation from a book that I just finished, and it's written by, to give credit, Annie Dieuleveux, French last name. I hope I didn't totally butcher that. I took French, I lived in Paris, and I still have trouble with the accent, so forgive me. But okay, I'm gonna read the last paragraph of this, because it's powerful. We know that by reclaiming our birthright, we will reclaim our power as human beings and be able to stand tall again in the face of those psychopathic madmen who want to steal it from us in their crazed bid to exploit and ultimately cull the human race. Mic drop right there. Wow. So those were not my words, but those are words that I find quite powerful and poignant, especially at this point in time, because we are in a massive shift right now, one that is necessary and needed because the systems that are set up are not working. They need to break down. We need to rebuild something that is even better. We need to create a new earth based on the rise of the divine feminine and the masculine coming back into integrated wholeness and unity and harmony. Harmony for all. Harmony, love, beauty. These are the principles we should be living by. So I am sending you so much love right now. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being curious and staying open and being on your journey wherever you are. So sending you so much love, onward and upward, and I will see you tomorrow.